trái yêu thương đời này hãy đem cho mọi người. Khi lá hoa thật nhiều trái yêu thương đầy cành hãy đem cho mọi người.
Nữ ca sĩ Phương Hồng Quế vừa gửi đến quý vị một tiết mục làm cho chúng ta nhớ lại không khí ngày xưa của những năm trước 75, phải không thưa quý vị? Và hồi nãy biểu diễn có thưa với quý vị là những em gái hậu phương, thì trong đây thì Minh Phượng thấy có rất nhiều em gái hậu phương, chẳng hạn như là chị An Nguyễn, Kiều Mỹ Duyên là những người đã theo sát đến trong những năm trước 75. Và bây giờ trở lại với thế hệ bây giờ, trước khi một tiết mục kế tiếp, Minh Phượng đang định mời đại úy Vũ, mời em.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vietnamese American Armed Forces Association has the great honor to invite our first guest speaker of tonight, U.S. Navy Captain Thomas Brown, the second SEAL. Please give him a big hand.
The honor of being here tonight.
That's why chị biết vậy, chị mới cắt em nhiều thịt bò, bởi vì sắp sửa đến thịt gà. Không biết ăn thịt gà.
Wow, this is quite an event. Good evening. I'm going to talk to you tonight about national security and the SEAL community, otherwise known as Naval Special Warfare. Some of you may not have a lot of interest in that. Luckily, we've got this great food here that can compete with me. So if you don't find that interesting, the food here is wonderful, so I'm sure that'll take up your attention. I also want to talk about the service of the Vietnamese American community, and specifically those veterans of the Vietnam War that I've met here tonight. Many people have concluded many things about that conflict. Its purpose, conduct, what it indicated about our country and its values. Many lost much, many in this room, and in some cases everything, fighting for the values we hold dear. What happened to many in this community is not well known. It's not well represented in books, TV, movies, popular culture. For those in the Vietnamese community that gave their lives in the service of our common values and who experienced great hardship and disruption of life, family, and friends, I want to say thank you for your service. Okay, so the next part is for those that are interested in knowing about what the SEALs are up to and what its context is in national security. Many of you have heard the term irregular warfare. That was a term reinvigorated after the attacks of 9/11. In its simplest explanation, it means not state against state. It means a nation state like the United States against a non-state actor like Al-Qaeda. Rather than traditional warfare, armies against armies or navy against navies. Our most recent deployer, SEAL Team 5, just returned from 6 months of irregular warfare, doing counterinsurgency in Iraq and the Philippines, assisting and advising those security forces, much as our SEALs did in Vietnam. And I was lucky enough and had the honor to meet 2 former South Vietnamese SEALs in here tonight, so they know exactly what I'm talking about. In Iraq, our SEAL and other forces have played a major role in the success the nation enjoys there today. Particularly in Al Anbar province, once the center of the Sunni insurgency that so threatened the stability of Iraq and our objective there. SEAL forces engaged in the fiercest of firefights across Iraq and in Al Anbar. The campaign to retake the capital of Al Anbar, Ramadi, popularized in the book Sheriff of Ramadi. The 2008 summer battle for Baghdad, in which SEAL Team 3 worked with coalition infantry and armor forces exacted such a toll on the militia and criminal networks in Sadr City and New Baghdad that they came to the negotiating table and the rocket attacks on the Green Zone stopped. Today, SEAL Team 7, who is now deployed to Iraq, the Philippines, and Afghanistan, continues the work of improving security in Iraq, training and advising police and special operations forces. While in southern Afghanistan, they are engaged in intense combat with Taliban militants. They recently contributed to one of Afghanistan's largest drug hauls in a fierce and extended battle to seize a narcotics processing hub and militant stronghold in Helmand province. Afghanistan produces more than 90% of the world's opium, most of it in the Taliban southern heartland. A lot of that money and revenue goes to fueling the insurgency there. While we're involved in this unprecedented global struggle against apocalyptic terrorism, the nation is at the same time adjusting to changes in the international system, accommodating the rising power of China and India and Asia in general, managing a more complex and multipolar world. Also, aggressive nations still threaten their neighbors and regional stability. Nuclear weapons development or employing and funding of surrogates to kill our troops. Therefore, for the SEAL community, we still do have to be prepared to fight other nation states as we remain focused on terrorism. In this context, we look to former foes like Vietnam, with whom we now share common interests. Trade, the environment, stopping the spread of fundamentalist terrorism. Changes in bilateral relations with Vietnam is something most of you watched with great interest and I'm sure quite closely. I recently attended a conference in Hawaii sponsored by Special Operations Command Pacific with special operations forces from all over the Pacific and Vietnam. As someone who cut his teeth as a Dai Li in the Cold War, trained by SEAL Vietnam War veterans where Vietnamese words were still part of our vernacular, it still strikes me how much that relationship has changed, and important given the common interests we share. The Vietnamese American community has much to offer Naval Special Warfare, the SEALs. We need your talent, diversity, and smarts. Vietnamese Americans like Long Phan, the brother of Chris Phan here tonight, former Navy Special Warfare Group 1 lawyer. Chris first introduced his brother to the SEALs. Long Phan is a Vietnamese American, an athlete and a scholar who our community got better acquainted with at the 2008 Ironman World Triathlon Championship, where he was the youngest competitor at that event, and where he met Captain Duncan Smith here in the audience tonight, a SEAL recruiter. Long Phan told Captain Smith he was competing to prepare himself mentally and physically to become a Navy SEAL. That's quite an accomplishment for a very young man. Our community has a concerted effort to increase the diversity of our community. I solicit your support to motivate other special young men like Long Phan to consider the challenge of service to our country in the SEALs and Naval Special Warfare. Again, I want to thank the Vietnamese American community. I have the utmost respect for you, and I know and I understand what many of you went through to get here, and I have such honor and respect for your service and what you went through. And thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight.
Dạ, kính thưa quý vị, vừa rồi Đại tá Hải quân Thomas Brown II, tức là trưởng tòa án đặc nhiệm người nhái số 1 tại San Diego, có vài lời gửi đến quý vị thì xin phép Đại tá cho chúng tôi được nói lại vài lời coi như là thông điệp cho quý vị.